Hello everyone, this is your host Mr. Top 10 and welcome back to another episode. Short-run TV series enjoy advantages their multi-season counterparts lack. Free from the constraints of long-term plots and character arcs, they can empty the creative tank in one condensed burst. Showcasing the best miniseries ever reveals one truth: TV has gotten better over the years. As the number of available platforms, network, cable, streaming services exponentially expands, the medium has found fertile ground for experimentation and niche catering, resulting in a list top-heavy with recent releases. In this video, we will talk about top 10 best TV miniseries ever. But before we move on, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Number 10. Watchmen 2019. Watchmen is a cinematic sequel to a same-named mid-1980s DC Comics collection. Notably, it brought broader awareness of the racially motivated destruction of Tulsa, Oklahoma's Greenwood neighborhood, the so-called Black Wall Street, in 1921. The massacre left 36 dead, over 800 hospitalized, and nearly 200 mostly black-owned businesses looted or burned. Watchmen occurs 34 years after the 1986 comic series. In Tulsa, police must conceal their identities, wearing masks like Afghan soldiers fearing Taliban retribution, to remain anonymous from a white supremacist group that recently engaged in a Kristallnacht-esque uprising called the White Night. Watchmen hinges on a truly out-there event. Fearing mankind was hurtling towards nuclear war, a vigilante faked an alien squid attack on New York City that left millions dead. While the tragedy tricked adversarial nations into uniting against an imaginary extraterrestrial enemy, those privy to the scheme shunned the act. A would-be whistleblower is then vaporized by a powerful being, Dr. Manhattan, who subsequently flees the planet. Number 9. The People vs. O.J. Simpson 2016. Based on legal media specialist and cyber-meeting masturbation enthusiast Jeffrey Toobin's 1997 best-selling book, the enthralling story of the trial of the 20th century is the best non-documentary true crime miniseries ever produced. Surprisingly, despite a star-studded cast that included Cuba Gooding Jr. as Simpson, Sarah Paulson as Marcia Clark, and Sterling K. Brown as Chris Darden, the 10-part drama may have placed higher on this list were it not for some flat performances, most notably by David Schwimmer as Robert Kardashian and John Travolta as lead attorney Robert Shapiro. Still, it's difficult to totally tank a dramatized miniseries about the most dramatic celebrity trial in U.S. history. The show shined brightest in scenes following the trial's most compelling twists: racist cop Mark Fuhrman's N-word bombshell, the mishandling of both physical and DNA evidence, the infamous glove try-on, because the audience gets invited behind the scenes to see the participants' plotting and reactions. Number 8. From the Earth to the Moon 1998. Somewhat forgotten amid 1998's more outrageous spacebound adventures, Armageddon and Deep Impact, the exhaustively researched story of NASA's decade-long quest to land a man on the moon was visually stunning. Well-placed and tremendously acted by its ensemble cast. Co-produced by Tom Hanks and Ron Howard, From the Earth to the Moon plays out in 12 episodes, each from a different director. The result is a comprehensive collection where the tone is broken up, a sort of scattered cohesiveness that works to keep the at times tech-heavy plot from becoming too monotonous. Far from a hackneyed, all-guts-and-glory tale of heroism, From the Earth to the Moon starts with Apollo 1, an unmitigated disaster in which a pre-launch cabin fire killed all 3 crew members. A BBC miniseries adaptation of a 1993 novel, The Night Manager is the 6-episode tale of Jonathan Pine, an ex-soldier who oversees the night shift of a luxury Cairo hotel during Egypt's 2011 Arab Spring Revolution. He gets involved with the mistress of a local bigwig, is neck-deep in smuggling illegal arms, including chemical weapons. He divulges this to the UK government and tries to get asylum for his lover, but she is ultimately murdered. 4 years later, we rediscover Pine as a, you guessed it, night manager at a luxury hotel, this time in Switzerland. In true, just when you think you're out fashion, Pine comes across information intended for the same crime boss the UK government had been pursuing back in Egypt. An intelligence contract, Angela Burr, implores Pine to help her investigation. When he refuses, she cites his service in the Iraq War, where he apparently witnessed the mass casualties chemical weapons could inflict. Number 6. Lonesome Dove 1989. Ironically, the best Western-themed miniseries ever aired when most viewers were weary of the genre. Due to the overabundance of cookie-cutter, cheesy, and racially condescending westerns in the 1950s and 60s, by the late 1980s they were unfashionable in American film and television. Despite this, U.S. broadcast network CBS invested a whopping $20 million into a 4-part miniseries debuting in February 1989. The casting spoke for the effort's lofty goals, starring the legendary Robert Duvall, Lonesome Dove also featuring Tommy Lee Jones in his prime, Danny Glover from 1987's wildly popular Lethal Weapon, Angelica Houston, and Diane Lane. The all-star cast did not disappoint. Number 5. Chernobyl 2019. The 1986 meltdown at Ukraine's Chernobyl nuclear power plant was among history's most cautionary lessons of the dangers of state censorship. In the hours following the reactor explosion, local USSR officials did what totalitarian regimes frequently do: downplay the disaster to protect themselves from unforgiving higher-ups and international embarrassment. The Chernobyl cover-up was swift and strict, disregarding the steadily worsening public health threat. Officials forbid evacuation and suspended outside communication, at once trapping and silencing area residents. Given the disaster's cascading tragedy of both malfeasance and misjudgments, the miniseries' creators had cinematic troves to work with: initial impact, eerie suspense, snowballing catastrophe. Watching Chernobyl now, one can't help but compare it to China's suppression and secrecy in the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic, supported by the lying mainstream media and those of a certain political bent. Number 4. Angels in America 2003. A 2003 TV adaptation of the 1991 play of the same name, Angels in America recalls one of history's most tragic subculture settings: the gay community at the inception of the AIDS epidemic. The background: as AIDS began to proliferate in the early 1980s, the then-new disease was largely limited to gay men. As the virus's deadly scope steadily widened without complete understanding of exactly how it spread, could it travel through the air, on surfaces? Straight people feared for their lives while castigating the gay community for its perceived sinful promiscuity. Angels in America is one of just 2 programs ever to win every major Emmy Award for which it was eligible, including all 4 acting categories. Number 3. Roots 2016. No, the date above isn't a typing error. Roots' 2016 remake was better than the original 1977 miniseries. According to one reviewer, the new Roots is more scathing and pulls fewer punches. Still, the 1977 version would easily make this list were it not for its contemporary counterpart. Roots is simply among the most heartbreakingly compelling accounts in screen history, exemplifying the subjugated survival of a people based solely on skin color. Poised to attend university in Timbuktu, young Kunta Kinte is captured by a rival African tribe and sold to European slave traders. After a near mutiny during the transatlantic crossing, forced labor at a Virginia tobacco farm, and an unsuccessful escape attempt, Kinte slowly resigns himself to physical restraint while refusing spiritual constraint. Number 2. The Pacific 2001. While its concurrent counterpart, 2001's Band of Brothers, was brilliant, The Pacific ekes out a victory for the best war miniseries ever. It's a close call. Band of Brothers compellingly recalls the ordeals of East Company, a paratroop unit dropped behind Nazi lines ahead of the D-Day Allied invasion of Normandy. The company suffered frighteningly high casualties, and Band of Brothers humanizes their heroism poignantly. Just one drawback: Band of Brothers was too stylistically similar to 1998's Saving Private Ryan. By 2001, war-torn Europe was well-trod cinematic territory. Number 1. John Adams 2008. America's least celebrated founding father is the focal point of the best miniseries in television history. John Adams is not only the greatest period piece short series ever, but also the most engaging biopic miniseries, a 2-for-1 that helps it set it apart from other excellent efforts. It is also the best acted, if only because it features a splendid actor, Paul Giamatti, giving perhaps the most outstanding performance in a career full of them. From idealistic Boston lawyer to passionate independence advocate to unpopular president, Giamatti as protagonist shows the guts and guile of the arrogant, rigid but nonetheless essential statesman Adams truly was. Thanks for watching. Check out some more of our videos on screen and click subscribe for more videos in the future.